What's up guys, it's Awesomemoose, and a week ago I continued playing Hollow Knight, got their Soul Sanctum, and made it to Crystal Peak, and that's what you need to know for the video, so enjoy! Alright, so we started back off after dying to the Soul Master in his second wave, so we make our way back down, make our way back up into the Soul Sanctum, and we face him again. We have to get through his first stage yet again, just because we died. And we end up doing it pretty quickly, so we just keep dodging his attacks. We do get hit by his recast again, but we just keep dodging. We know what we're doing at this point, so it's quite a bit easier. And eventually, after a little bit of dodging, we defeat his first stage, and we make it to his second one. This one is basically just his descending dive, so we just keep dodging. And after this dodging, he goes into this form, and we're just able to defeat him. It wasn't one hit, that was the only time he cast his descending dive, so I didn't show the rest of me killing him. But yeah, we get the Desolate Dive. And now we can make our way into the Crystal Caverns. We use the Desolate Dive here, and we make our way down into the start of Crystal Peak. So in this area, we start exploring, and make our way down, and we discover our first new enemy in this area, which doesn't really attack, so you don't really need to fight it, but it might get in your way sometimes, so I do fight it. And then we come across these miners, but they've been down here a while, so they're probably not very young anymore. I know, bad joke, but we discover that there's a bench this way, so we continue through, and make our way over here, take a rest on the bench, and since this is a new area, we don't quite have a map yet, that's why the map updated thing didn't appear. But we continue to make our way up on these platforms, and we look up just to make sure there's nothing above us, but it's dark, so we can't really see. And we make our way into this area, find this new enemy, which is kind of a nuisance. We make our way across. We had noticed there was a worm up here that needed freeing, so we make our way over, free the worm, we open the door, and we get out. And we come across these crystal bugs, which we discover can shoot lasers out of their backs, which is annoying to avoid. Make our way into this area with some crushers, and we notice we can easily dash under these slower ones. And then we come across a slightly faster one, but it's not a huge deal, so we continue through, and we keep fighting these types of bugs in this new area that we came across, which weren't that annoying to deal with this time. I think we did end up losing a couple of lives, but we just healed it back and kept going. And yeah, I don't really know what we were doing there. We're kind of just stalling part of the time on stream, I don't know why. But we make our way down, and we keep going down, and we find this new area with this new bug that crawls on the walls and will spike up when threatened, kind of like a porcupine, but made of crystal. And then we end up dying to these miners, trying to get Geo in a certain area. And we're back at this bench again, because it's the only bench that we found so far. But we make our way over, we find Cornifer after retrieving our soul, and we purchase a map for a very specific price. And now we know where we are in this. We see that this is pointing us to a bench, so we go over to investigate. And at first, when I went in here, I kind of assumed it was just like an NPC, like at the City of Tears, but we attack him and it's a boss. It's a mini-boss that we have to fight. And I didn't really know about these lasers other than from the bugs, so we didn't really fare too well against this guy immediately. We did try to cast our spell at him, but ultimately we just ended up dying we didn't really go back there. We didn't think it was worth the trouble for the bench. This bench is fine enough. And now our map gets updated because we have one from Cornifer. And we make our way up now. We make our way further up. We're near the top right now. And we bump into this soldier who seems to be looking over the view from up here. And he says that we're tough, and he seems to know that we were tough as we approached him. And he talks about the energy of crystals, and we make our way forward, moving on, and we find this area marked by a sign. So we continue through this area, and we platform across these conveyors and the flipping platforms, which aren't that hard to deal with anymore. And dashing midair is kind of something I've gotten accustomed to, but I still do end up impaling myself on the spikes. So I try again. I make my way up this time. Not a huge deal. Oh wait, I actually do end up falling again, but it's still not a big deal. So I just continue my way across these conveyors, and eventually we do end up finally making it. Up here we remember that we can just dash from wall to wall, because you dash in the opposite direction of the wall if you're dashing from a wall. And we make our way through these lasers from these crystals, which aren't too much of an inconvenience, because it does leave like a safety gap. And then we come across this area where we decide that it's probably better to dash across. So we do that successfully, and we dash again, go on the platforms, go on the conveyors, some more, and we just make our way through. We do get hit by the laser here, but it's not that big of a deal. Make our way across, and we find this weird wreckage of sorts, and we attack it before we can inspect it, and we end up obtaining the crystal heart, which allows us to do a sort of super dash, which we use in a second to get back across from where we came from. And we make our way back to this area where we had seen a worm, and we rescue him with our super dash because we couldn't get there before. We make our way back to where Cornifer was. He's already left, and we heal up and we super dash across this gap. And after making our way through a few more areas after this one, we come across an elevator, which we activate, and we discover it actually takes us down to an area right across from Dirtmouth. So after a close call of death and collecting some more Geo, we make our way to the bench of Dirtmouth to heal, and we make our way into Sly's shop, where we return his key and discover that he has actually restocked and created more items for us to buy. But we get what we came for, which was the Limfly Lantern, so that we can see down in the darker areas of the Crystal Peak. So we make our way back to the Crushers, and we make our way through, and which are pretty easy for the slower ones. The quicker ones are a little bit harder, but we manage. And then we get to this part where the Crushers are even quicker, which does not let us really pass. We don't really fare that well against them. We die quite a few times, and eventually we just run out of lives and end up back at the town of Dirtmouth. But we make our way back, and we discover that we don't actually need to go through those faster Crushers. We actually just need to go through this dark cave area. So we defeat the enemies in here, and we make our way right through this area. We make our way across this gap with our super dash, and we look back just to make sure, and we come across this area which is very similar to where we got the Vengeful Spirit and had to free the Snail Shaman, had to help the Snail Shaman. We realize this area is called the Crystal Mound, which is like a burial mound, and we continue to fight these enemies, make our way across the platforms, but we end up falling. We end up falling yet again, and we end up dying, ending up back in Dirtmouth once again, but we make our way back, and we try and make our way up, and this is about as far as we got, because we died again, and that's about it. Alright, that's gonna do it for this video. Just a reminder, this is streamed live from my Twitch, and that's about it. Thanks for watching. Peace out.